Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Newsletter Launchpad. I'm your host, Audrey Bell Kearney. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. I am live right now. Today I'm talking about why I thought my newsletter would fail and why having a niche is so important. So, for those of you who don't know me, if this is your first time visiting my channel, please by all means subscribe. But if you don't know me, my name is Audrey. I've been in media 24 years. I host the Good Morning Gwinnett podcast. I have the Good Morning Gwinnett news site, and I have the newly formed, newly published Gwinnett Morning Spark newsletter. And so I've been publishing for a long time, and I talked about this on a couple of other episodes. When I was publishing newsletters, we were doing it in paper. That's how long ago that's been. So I'm kind of dating myself. And then recently, I saw that newsletters were taking a new turn for the better. What was interesting about that and what made me decide, you know what, I think it's time for me to start a newsletter was because my news site, which is built on WordPress, I have so much content on that site. And every time Google makes an update, it was killing my site. And I was like, this is crazy. I can't keep going through this every single week as Google decide they want to make changes. So I was like, well, maybe I should start a newsletter. And that way I can control the newsletter. I can't really control much on my website except for the content I put on there. I can't control how it shows up in the search engines. I can't control Google by no means at all. So my thought was, let me look and see what I can control. And I can control a newsletter, right? So I decided to launch the newsletter, and I decided to launch one based on where I live, which is in Gwinnett County. I was trying to stay on brand. That's why I wanted to do this episode, because I felt like, I'm going to stay on brand. It's going to be about Gwinnett County, even though the newsletter is about being positive and, all of that good stuff. And, it's not your typical newsletter. It's a newsletter that starts out with positivity in the morning time. And then it comes out every morning, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. Inside the newsletter, I have a message right at the top that I put in about, something positive. And then there's a longer message about something positive. And then I have something in about conscious living. And then from there, I have, information about what's going on around town. And then I have meet somebody in our county who's doing some great things. And then I have a business article. Then I have a money article. Then I have a fun fact about Gwinnett County. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is great. And it's a great read. But I was struggling in my mind saying, how am I going to make this make sense? How am I going to make this successful? Because I started to feel like it wasn't niche enough. Like I felt like the niche that I had wasn't niche enough, right? And when I decided to launch my local newsletter, it was because I have a local podcast called Good Morning Gwinnett. I have a local news site called Good Morning Gwinnett, and I wanted to have something. I'm the president of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce, so I'm very community focused. And I was like, I need to make sure my newsletter is also community focused. So, but as I started to do it, and I love it, I'm thinking, maybe this is not niche down enough, right? And there's this guy, his name was Ryan, and he talked about his newsletter. It's called Naptown, and his newsletter is about Annapolis, Maryland, where he lives, and that's a town. So I'm covering the entire county for mine. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, this is great. So I looked at his newsletter. Okay, I like his newsletter. Okay, but his is about the town. Right? It's literally about just his town. It doesn't have anything like I have business and money and all that in mind. That's the reason I started to think my newsletter is going to fail. I started to think my newsletter is going to fail because it's still not niche enough. It's like, I got inspiration at the top. I got a music player in the middle. I got, information about what's going around town. Then I got information about a person in town. Then I think I have too much. So I've been struggling with, trying to niche it all down to make it make sense so I can grow it and make it successful. So this is my message to you all. So you don't be where I am right now trying to figure it out again. Even when I launched Good Morning Gwinnett, right? I was going to go into politics. That was my first thought because I'm very community oriented. After spending some time in politics, about 6 months, I was like, yep, not the place for me. I don't want to do that. I'm going to stay over here where I like it, where it's, it's a lot more fun. I can be a lot more creative. I don't have to go through so much nonsense. I don't want to do that. So I decided to, and I have been podcasting. I've been podcasting since 2009. Have been on traditional radio. I had 2 shows on traditional radio. I had a television show. So I've been in media for a long time. I'm gonna stay planted where I love and like, what I love and know, right? And so I decided to launch Good Morning Gwinnett, thinking that, okay, this is great, but I struggled with that as well in the beginning, because in the beginning, nobody was really paying podcasting any attention. And I'm thinking, man, don't they see like the big picture when it comes to this whole podcasting thing? They didn't see it. But I kept going, and I still do to this day. I didn't do 2 shows this week because I've been sick. So I'm sick right now. I probably sound a little sick, but I feel a lot better. But there was nobody really paying attention to that, right? They weren't paying attention to the power that podcasting actually offered. But I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And I did it. Then I decided, you know what? I need a whole news site. I'm talking about all this stuff anyway. I need somewhere to put these episodes, and so I launched a news. I launched a news site to accompany my podcast. And so, but that has been a uphill battle, because now I have to compete with the publishers of the local newspapers that have been around for 45 years. And here I am around 5.5. And I'm stepping out trying to compete with these companies, these news publishing houses that have been around forever, who own the county. So I am here trying to compete for the same dollars. People know them. They don't know Good Morning Gwinnett. So that has been an uphill battle. So I fought that for 5.5 years. I resolved that I wouldn't stop. I would keep going. Now, even though the podcast and the news site doesn't make me a lot of income, because of what I do, it does, right? Which is kind of funny. It's like one of them things, same thing I feel like happened with a lot of newsletters and YouTube channels. Like, small channels don't make a lot of money from YouTube, but they make a lot of money from other people that see what they're doing. Well, people see what I do in that space, and the first person come to mind when it's time for them to launch something in the podcasting space, they think of me. And then I get these consulting gigs because of me doing podcasting and people knowing me. Just early this morning, I got a call from somebody who I hadn't talked to in a year saying, hey, we need to talk to you about launching a podcast, right? This is probably going to be beneficial for both organizations. We'd love to set up a meeting with you. Absolutely. I got a call just last week, same thing. I got a call yesterday, same thing. Because now people know me because I've been podcasting for 5.5 years here in Gwinnett County. Some of those people have been on my show, so they know who I am. They know what I do. Has the podcast itself and the news site itself made me money? Yeah, it's made me some, but not the type of money that I want to just stop doing everything else for. But the consulting has been what's kept me afloat. The podcast training is what has kept me afloat. Now, I look at newsletters a little bit different. I feel like you can control the narrative a little bit better when it comes to the newsletters, because you can control the email list. Those are your subscribers. I can't control anything except for the content that I put out. That's it. I can't control who see it. I can't really control who likes it. I don't even know who actually likes it. I don't know where they are, because the platforms that these content pieces are hosted on, they're not owned by me. They're owned by the Spreakers of the world, the Apples of the world, the Googles of the world. They're not owned by me. I own the website, but unless I have access to, whoever's over in whatever country, if I don't get that information, I don't know. I can see how many people, I can see how long they stayed, but I don't know who they are, because I can't collect an email unless they go to my newsletter and sign up. Okay. So I wanted to tell you that part first. Now, what I don't want for you, if you're on this channel, you're thinking about starting a newsletter, you say, I want to start a newsletter. I don't know what the newsletter is about. I'm going to tell you, I believe that you should pick a niche, right? And the reason you should pick a niche is because it's probably going to make your life a lot simpler. You will not be walking around pulling your hair out trying to figure out, who the heck am I talking to? Because that's what I've done. Right. And it hasn't stopped me. I'm still putting out 5 issues a week, Monday through Friday. I was sick all week. I managed to get out the bed long enough to get my issue done and get it out. Am I doing it the hard way? Probably so. But that's just me. That I'm not telling you to do that either. We'll talk about that on another episode. Don't do that. That's a lot of work. And yesterday was one of the days where I felt really, really bad. And I wished that someone else could have done my newsletter for me. But nobody knows how to do it but me. It's only me doing the newsletter. Pick a niche because you can figure out who you're talking to. It's going to be a lot easier, in my opinion, for you to grow that newsletter if you know who you're talking to. The young man who does Naptown, he's speaking directly to the people in Naptown about Naptown, right? But there's a team of writers. And I think that's where I have struggled because it's only me. And unless I'm out there floating around Gwinnett County, which is huge, we have 16 towns in Gwinnett County. We have over 1 point something million people that live in Gwinnett County. So unless I'm bouncing around Gwinnett County getting all this news, who's gonna? I'm the one writing the stories. So that has become a struggle for me. So if I had said, you know what, the only thing I'm going to write about is Lawrenceville, that's where I live, and maybe I should have. Now all I got to do is focus on Lawrenceville, which is the seat of our county, has about 30-something thousand residents in Gwinnett County. Lawrenceville, it's like this. I think it may be it's the largest town in Gwinnett County, which is where I live. If I had just said I'm just going to focus on Lawrenceville, that may have been better because now all I had to do was float around Lawrenceville, right? But I said Gwinnett County. And I need to be all over the place, which that's not something that I'm interested in doing. And so my second thought would be maybe I need to hire some writers, right? But then I don't know the writers. And I need to know that they're going to give me the right information. And then it is true and all this kind of, it was crazy. So I'm pulling my hair out because I'm not niched down enough, in my opinion. So in my mind, I'm thinking my newsletter is going to fail. That's what I'm thinking. Now, am I going to do everything in my power to not let that happen? Yes. Does that mean I'm going to have to change some things in the newsletter? Probably. But I don't know what those things are. Do I take out the business piece? Do I take out the money piece? Do I take out the fun fact? Do I take all this? Do I change the title? Those are the things that I've been thinking about. And I don't want you to start your journey out that confused. Like when I started, I thought I had a clear path. It's going to be a uplifting newsletter, right? Which is, had I stuck to that, it could have been just that, which means you got a beautiful quote, you got a beautiful message, you got a beautiful uplifting song, you're on your way. That's a minimalist newsletter. I could have just stuck just with that, right? And I could have called this, and I had another name for it, but I'm trying to stay on brand. And I could easily switch it. Change it to something else, change it to the original name that I thought about changing it to. I could easily do that. I bought the domain name, everything. I could do that, right? But now it's like, okay, I have about 60 issues out already. That's a lot of issues because I think I have 63 songs. Every issue has a song. I had this vision, then I changed the vision. And then I confused myself. Because the original newsletter was supposed to be a newsletter that you got early in the morning that's going to uplift you, that's going to get you motivated to start your day. That was the original thought for the newsletter. But then again, I try to stay on brand, and then I put Gwinnett in the mix of that, right? I put Gwinnett in it and kind of threw it off. So I kind of deviated from the original purpose of the newsletter and try to stay on brand and mess myself up. So I wanted to share this with you because I really don't want you to do that. I want you to figure out what you want to talk about and stick to that. Don't do like me, because now I got to backpedal and make it make sense. Now, what I do know is when I look at my stats, people are opening it every day and reading it. So, they are doing that. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. But I have like 400 people on my list, and it's still not enough, in my opinion, just opening and reading it. But they are opening it, right? So, and that number is consistent. Like the number of people that's opening and reading it is pretty consistent. So I'm like, okay, so maybe I am onto something here, right? Maybe I am. So maybe I'll leave it the way it is. However, I can tell you that I'm in the process of launching newsletter number 2 with a friend. And it's hilarious because she said to me, like I talked about what it was. She loved the idea. Then I sent her a list of all these things, and she said, "I thought it was supposed to be simple." And I started laughing, and part of me was like, "What do you mean?" But then I had to think about it. My mind makes nothing simple. So I said to her, "Okay, you're right. It's supposed to be simple. We need to do some things first before we launch. So we will not launch until we make sure that it's the way it's supposed to be." And I think for me and her, she's the one that keeps stuff simple. I'm the one that always blows everything up. So, I feel like between Gwinnett Morning Spark and the newsletter, one of those is going to be uber successful. One of them. Not sure which one just yet, but I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. I want you to, because I feel like this could be extremely lucrative for all of us, right? As long as we're consistent and we know what we're doing and we're on point, we love what we're doing. Like, I love the newsletter. When I open up my own newsletter in the morning time, I'm like, oh my God, this is so nice, right? But then I say to myself, but is it niche enough, right? Is it niche enough for people that want it for it to grow and grow and grow? Is it niche enough? Does it pack enough punches so people can share it? I don't know. I have gotten some subscribers that I did not get. I don't know where they came from. But I've gotten some and I'm excited about that. Could I have gotten more if it was more niche? If I had a newsletter and all I did was spotlight local businesses, which I probably would never do that, because just the section that shows success lives here it makes me pull my hair out. That takes the longest of everything I do in the newsletter, like trying to find people to spotlight, which I'm always amazed at. That you can't find information about. We got 33,000 businesses in Gwinnett County, and do you know how hard it is to find those businesses? It's nuts. Like, nobody talks about themselves. So I'm digging every day trying to find a profile of success. So I hope it didn't sound like I was rambling on here, but I really want you to think about your newsletter. I really want you to think about why you're starting it, what transformation you want people to have when they read it. I want you to make sure that it's one that you can commit to and produce on a regular basis. If you know that you can't produce a daily, then don't do it daily. It's a lot of work. I've been sick for 4 days. I'm still sick today. And yesterday I was really, really sick. And I said to my husband, today is the day I wish somebody can do this newsletter. Right. So think about the newsletter before you do it. We're going to launch newsletter number 2. I'm excited about newsletter number 2, but I can for sure tell you that with newsletter number 2, things will be a lot different, because we're gonna make sure that the niche we decide to focus on is one that we can actually promise a transformation for. Whether it's going to be enlightening somebody, educating somebody, empowering somebody, that's what we're going to stick to. We won't be all over the place, because my friend and business partner won't let me be all over the place and change the whole platform. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Listen, I wish you well on your newsletter journey. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. I'm trying to come to you live every Friday at 4 p.m. So subscribe to the channel and set the notifications so you will know when I go live. Also, if you got a question, now, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, 27 years. Been in media, 24 years. Been publishing newsletters just as long, since like 1994, something crazy like that, when it was just paper. Or Microsoft just came out with Microsoft Publisher. So I know a little something about a little something. So if you got a question for me, be sure to, drop me a comment. And I'll get a notification. I'll answer you back. But thank you for tuning in. You could have been anywhere, but you spent some time with me, and I appreciate that. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out my newsletter, GwinnettMorningSpark.com, and subscribe. You may listen. It has really good songs in there that I create every day. I do everything the hard way. Don't do that. Don't do like me. I create a song every day. I create an issue every day, when I could just bulk create everything, and I don't. That's just a me thing. All right. Thank you again for listening. I'll be back next Friday, same place, same time. So be sure to subscribe. Until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.